vital mind mediates between vital emotions, desires, impulses, and the mind proper. Its movements are experienced in the upper chest, just above the emotional being. The vital mind gives mental forms to the desires, feelings, emotions, passions, ambitions, possessive and active tendencies of the vital. It uses thought for the service, not of reason, but the vital pushes, pulls, and reactions. It is a mind of dynamic will, action, and desire, not of rational intelligence. It is very energetic and creative. The function of this mind is to dream or imagine what can be done. It lives by imagination and makes formations for the future. The pure imaginations or dreams of greatness, happiness, etc., in which people indulge are one peculiar form of the vital mind activity. By its power of imagination, it goes beyond the sense-bound physical mind and the physical actuality. It has an incessant drive towards self-exceeding. It always needs some kind of activity and change. People of action always have the vital mind in a very high measure. However, the vital mind is limited by emotions, desires, and drives. It acts in random, excessive ways, without discipline or concentration on what really needs to be done. It has no sense of proportion or measure and is eager to be or achieve something big at once. The mind proper is the seat of pure reason and intelligent will. It is called Buddhi in Sanskrit. This power of intelligent will is normally available to humanity in the current stage of evolution. It can review the past, envision future possibilities, and give us a sense of continuity of self in the changing flow of life and time experience. It organizes all experiences around the sense of I and creates the ego, surface personality. It is an instrument of the soul, by which it comes into ordered possession of itself and its surroundings. By the activity of the intelligent will, the soul begins the process of awakening. There are two parts to the mind proper: the thinking mind and the dynamic mind. The thinking mind is essentially a mind of knowledge. Here, pure reason, free from the senses, deals with abstract ideas, principles, and the essential nature of things. It concerns with a disinterested pursuit of truth and knowledge. It lives in the world of ideas. The thinking mind finds its satisfaction in the reasoning, logical intelligence. Its role is to give the right direction to our energy and actions. The ability to use reason with any purity is not very common, but the attempt to do so is the topmost capacity of the thinking mind. For action in the world, the thinking mind depends on the aid of the dynamic mind. Dynamic mind is a mind of will to action. It is a channel for putting ideas into action. It has a pragmatic intellectuality in which creation and action are its real motives. It acts by idea and reason. To this pragmatic reason, truth is only a formation of the thinking mind, effective for the action. It is in itself, therefore, a mind of the will to life and action. It uses the externalizing mind as a channel for manifesting its ideas. However, all these three layers of the mind do not work in their own purity. They are assailed by the defects of the lower instruments. The intelligence and will of the mind must be made free from the invasion of the emotions, desires, drives, and the habits. This will purify the intelligent will and its power of pure reason. For further development, the mind must cease from thought and arrive at an inner silence. Its inward opening would lead to the discovery of the psychic being and its transformating influence. Its upward opening would lead to the spiritual ranges of the mind and their transformative influence. An increasingly silent and still mind would open to the inner and higher ranges of the mind. The subliminal self is a vast and submerged portion of our consciousness. Our waking mind and ego are only the tip of an iceberg. The tip is experienced as our surface consciousness. It is our outer being. Behind this outer being is our inner being, or the subliminal range. Behind the outer mind, there is a vaster and truer inner mind. Behind the outer vital, there is a vaster and truer inner vital. Behind the outer physical, there is a vaster and truer inner physical. In these inner ranges are the formations of our larger, true individuality. To know our inner being is the first step towards a real self-knowledge. It is through dream state that we usually enter the subliminal. It is a subtle dimension of reality. While dreaming, we move in these subtle worlds using our subtle body. Our material body is only an outer form. There is an invisible subtle body enveloping the material body. The chakras of the centers of consciousness are located in this subtle body, not in the material body. The subtle body is composed of subtle physical, vital, and mental sheets. It is by using one of these sheets that we move around in its corresponding subtle worlds or planes of consciousness. Subtle body is an individual formation. Subliminal extends beyond these sheets, forms a circumconscient envelope. It is through this envelope that the external world consciousness enters into individual consciousness. This envelope is surrounded by the ocean of universal mind, universal vital and universal physical consciousness. The circumconscient envelope can expand and open to the universal range. In this concealed subliminal part of our being, our individuality is close to our universality, in constant relation and exchange with it. All these together constitute the subliminal and universal ranges of our inner being. Our body exists in this vaster ocean. Our inner being does not depend on the sense organs. It can know through a direct contact of consciousness with another consciousness. By this inner contact, we can know the thoughts and feelings of people around us and feel their impact. There is an exchange happening all the time without our awareness. Our inner being has subtle senses, and their operations bring telepathy, clairvoyance, and other supernormal capacities. It opens the narrow limits of our physical senses and brings an immense range of knowledge and power that are otherwise inaccessible. From this subliminal come all the greater aspirations, ideals, and strivings towards a better humanity. Below the subliminal are the ranges of the subconscient and inconscient. These regions are obscure and habitual, unlike the subliminal. Above the subliminal are the superconscient ranges. Usually the word unconscious is used in the Western psychology to cover the subliminal, the subconscient, and the superconscient. Sri Aurobindo clearly distinguishes them. Psyche is a Greek word, the soul. Soul is a spark of the divine that supports evolution in the material world. It contains all possibilities, and it is the function of evolution to give it form. Psychic being is formed by the soul in its evolution. It is our inmost and true being, behind the surface ego personality. It is the Antaratman or the Chaitya Purusha in Sanskrit. It supports the mind, the vital, and the body, and grows by their experiences. This psychic being is the representative of the central being, known as the Jivatman in Sanskrit. The central being above presides over all the births, but it does not descend into birth in time. It is our eternal and infinite self. Spiritual liberation comes by an ascent and union to this universal self. But for the evolutionary transformation of life and nature, the awakening of the psychic being is indispensable. Our psyche, in its early stages of development, exists only as a divine spark. This soul spark evolves through the cycles of rebirth, through increasingly complex life forms. It is the impeller of evolution on earth, the Agni of the Vedic seers. It carries the essence of experiences from the past births into the present birth. It is the knower of our purpose and mission in the world. This leader of our evolution is behind the veil of our surface consciousness, the ego, the false outer personality. Our psychic being reveals itself as a gentle response and preference for all that is true, good, and beautiful. Normally, this gentle response gets lost in the flux of surface consciousness. Our identification with the mental chatter, the emotional flux, and the sensations veils the messages coming from the emerging psychic being. Therefore, it is necessary to establish inner silence and peace. Psychic being can be discovered by a deep inward journey. The more we accept this inner call, the more the inner guide reveals. Then, under the influence of the psychic being, the subliminal ranges opens up. Deep within the depths of the heart is our psychic being. as the psychic comes forward to take charge of our evolution, the utility of the ego ends. The natural attitude of the psychic being is to feel itself as a child of God, the devotee. It is full of love and delight and feels itself as a portion of the divine. Our true individualization happens with the emergence of the psychic being. It brings the experience of oneness with a larger existence, and yet acts as a unique center for the action of the divine in the world. Our being has two poles of existence. The superconscient pole is above, and the inconscient pole is below. There is a vast spectrum of consciousness between these two poles. Our mind can access only a small range of consciousness that lies in between these two poles. Sri Aurobindo divides this full spectrum into two hemispheres, the upper and the lower. The upper half is our divine higher nature, the formless, eternal, and infinite existence beyond time and space, blissfully conscious existence of oneness, the Satchidananda in Sanskrit. The lower hemisphere is formed by the three planes of mind, vital, and physical worlds in time and space. Between the two hemispheres is the supermind, linking both. It is the Mahas of the Jnana of the Vedic rishis. Thus, as a whole, there is a vertical hierarchy of 7 planes of consciousness. The supermind is the creative power that builds the worlds. All the higher planes are involved in the physical plane. The evolution unfolding on the earth in the physical plane as a result of pressure arising from within the physical plane to express the involved consciousness. This is supported by a descending pressure from the planes above. The emergence of human beings on earth is a result of the descent of the mental plane into the physical plane. A yogi can consciously ascend to the higher planes. Within the mental plane itself, there are spiritual ranges. First is higher mind that transforms our step-by-step linear thought process into mass ideation. Second is the illumined mind of light, vision, and revelatory knowledge. Third is the intuition, where knowledge comes by identity. And the fourth is overmind, the highest spiritual range of the mind. The overmind universalizes consciousness, brings cosmic consciousness and action. Above the bright lid of overmind is the plane of supermind. where it is no more diversity moving towards unity, but unity embracing diversity in the infinity of our being. The power of triple time vision, Trikala Drishti, embracing the past, present and future, arrives at its perfection. Knowledge and will moves together upon the foundation of oneness. But such an ascent does not transform the human nature. All these higher ranges are yet to fully descend into human beings and manifest their higher operations. Only when dynamic powers of the higher planes descend, with the psychic being as a support from below, the mental, vital, and physical parts of being undergo spiritual and supramental transformation.
Réjouissons-nous, car la folie que nous vivons est une illusion qui force de plus en plus de gens à s'éveiller. Cependant, nous devons avoir de la compassion pour ceux qui sont incapables de s'éveiller, parce que l'injection d'ARNM a créé une séparation avec l'âme individuelle. La seule façon de sortir de l'illusion est la non-conformité absolue. Je ne suis pas intéressé par la survie qui mène à une mort inévitable avec réincarnation dans cette simulation de réalité virtuelle. Je choisis de vivre à tout prix. Les plus courageux ont désormais consciemment choisi de sortir de l'illusion et continueront l'évolution de conscience sur la spirale ascendante de cristal. Pensez à visionner les nombreuses vidéos que j'ai créées sur les spirales des ondes temporelles. Je sais que mon expérience en prison était une bénédiction, car elle m'a forcé à quitter le Canada et ce qui était perçu comme une vie parfaite de dentiste très prospère et de mère de 2 merveilleux enfants. J'ai accédé au courage en moi. Je me suis abandonné à mon âme et j'ai sauté dans l'inconnu complet. Aujourd'hui, je suis en mesure d'offrir des conseils à ceux qui choisissent de vivre en Colombie ou Équateur. Un séjour de longue durée aux cascades à Café Retiro coûte 400 $ par mois. Je propose également des soins dentaires reconstructifs à un prix très abordable. Enfin, je suis guidé par les enseignements de Sri Aurobindo et de la mère. Le yoga intégral de Sri Aurobindo va au-delà de la libération individuelle et entreprend une transformation collective sur Terre. Après le décès de Sri Aurobindo, la mère poursuivit leur travail et le 29 février 1956, elle amena dans l'atmosphère terrestre la conscience supramentale sur Terre. Depuis, le supramental agit sur Terre comme un pouvoir actif d'évolution. Une nouvelle phase d'évolution a commencé au milieu de l'effondrement du vieux monde. Le yoga intégral vous convie à une aventure de conscience sans précédent. Veux-tu nous rejoindre? Amour infini.